Hello and welcome, Queen City Psychic Medium here, doing business as Cincy Psychic LLC. And if you enjoy my videos, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, so in this video here, I would like to talk about the other side, all right, and some of my experiences with communication with spirits that I had known here on Earth prior to them crossing over, all right. I am going to start with an in-law of mine, okay? Alrighty, and I'm not going to get too personal because I don't care to do that. That's not cool. All right. So someone I know died in November of 2018, and they died unexpectedly. All right, and they died in their sleep. They were found dead in their sleep the next morning. Okay, so I'm hanging out like, 40 something, almost 45 days later. And one morning after I woke up, and boom, he pops in. And I said, hey, wow. And he came in and he said, I'm awake. And I went, yeah, I told you, man, because we did debate a little bit about what happens on the other side, right? And what it was like, because he was very, very religious, all right? And he bought everything that they say in the Bible, which is very mistranslated, and everything that he was taught in church, okay? So I said, yeah, see, all right, and I said, I have a couple readings, so I can't use my energy to talk to you right now. Come back later, okay? But it was nice to see you, man. It was great. All right, so I go on about my business, okay? About 5:30, I'm in my kitchen, and boom, there he is again, right? And he comes back and he says, I'm awake now. Okay, remember the first time it was, I'm awake. And then this time it's, I'm awake now. Okay, but it was much more, more frantic. Okay, and I said, and with that, I heard, I'm awake now. Okay, that's voice. But with that, I heard the telepathic part of it. Okay, because we also have that. And a lot of it's mostly that, by the way. And I said, wow, okay. He died in his sleep, and it didn't dawn on me the first time that he had said something, that he had visited. So you know what? He didn't know he was dead for 40-something days later, okay? So I do want to share that because it happens all the time. When you die in your sleep, a lot of people do not realize they're dead for a while. They are stuck in the dream state. Do not feel sorry for them. It's okay. It's all cool. I personally love the dream state. I feel more alive in the dream state than I do here in this body on 3D Earth, okay? So anyway, so that was cool. And then it panned out. And I do say it pans out because a window opens up next to them, okay? And he showed me his wife. He showed me either a vase or an urn and some flowers. Okay, so, and he was worried about his wife. And then he left. So it was a day or two later that I saw on Facebook that it was their wedding anniversary, and she put some flowers by his urn. Okay, so he did show me that. He did come back later, and he came around somebody else that he followed, and they felt him, and they walked in, and I said, was so-and-so just with you? And they said, yeah. Well, I said, do you feel them with you? And they said, yes, and sobbed, busted out crying because they were there. And when I saw that, I could see it was like, it was kind of like astral traveling for me, really, that experience was, because I was in my bedroom, but I could also see what was going on outside of my home. So that's kind of like remote viewing, That experience was a trip. But anyway, okay, so that was that one. So that dude just didn't realize he was dead for 40 something days later. He pops in once in a while. We talk a little bit. I don't communicate to anyone for him because that's not actually appropriate for me to do. Okay. And we don't need to get into the nitty gritty of that. And then let's talk about Jules. All right. My friend Jules. Her daughter had died, and Jules had premonitions before her daughter died. She had and they came in the dream state. There was about 4 or 5 dreams that she had from her child's age of 3, and then her daughter died at she was like 27. Okay, and Jules had like 4 or 5 dreams that she'd be floating above her daughter, and her daughter would be walking with a man, and she'd say, "Don't get in the car with him, he'll kill you," and the dream would end. And so Jules called me up one day, I believe it was 2015, and she said her daughter was missing. And normally you'd go, she's out partying, because she was out partying and just didn't come home. All right. Not that she did that. All right. It's just normally most people would think that. I immediately went into, oh my God, what if she's laying off the side of the road and was in an accident and hurt? And what if she's over here by my house? Okay. She wasn't missing by my house. But anyway, she was missing on the west side of Cincinnati, which is where I am located. Okay. But she was not like missing from by my house. So anyway, I was not about to go look for her because there's no street lights around, and I wasn't even going to chance getting hit by a car. And I did tell her mother that. So 2 nights later, her mother's calling me back, but I'm picking up that she is off the side of the road with tuning with this. And I'm actually here. I'm not even going to get into all that. Okay, because the fast forward to I'm on the phone with Julie telling her, and then they found her body. She was in a car that had crashed. The dude ran off the road, and he left her in there, and he got himself some help, made himself up a story that he was carjacked and stuff. But anyway, okay, so Julie had premonitions of her daughter dying, and then Julie's heart started breaking. And what that was, I have to tell you this. I said to Julie, they were preparing you for her death. And she said, they were preparing me. She knew it. She knew it. And Julie did have some psychic tune-ins, by the way. Okay. So, anyway, so Julie's heart's broken. And she dies 3 years later, 2 years later. 2 years later. And when our other friend called to tell me that Julie had died on the phone, and I answered the phone, I knew what it was, and boom, Julie popped it. Okay, and that was heavy, right? We know just because you're psychic medium doesn't mean that it's not heavy. Okay, so later Julie pops in when I'm doing a meditation, and I wasn't trying to connect with her. I just meditate regularly. Because we all should. We should be taught that in high school, but they don't do that. Anyway, so I'm meditating, and pops Julie right here. Okay, and she's holding a baby, an infant, and her father's to the right of her. Okay, so he's here. Julie's here. She's holding a baby, and then her daughter popped in behind Julie, standing up, the one that had just died. And Julie's daughter did visit me years ago, too. He had died at least 20 years prior to all this. But anyway, so I see Julie, and I'm like, hey. And she's like, hey. And I thought the baby was Jenna, her daughter, for a moment, until Jenna appeared behind her. And I had forgotten that Jenna had a baby that died, a newborn baby that died. So that's what that was. Somebody reminded me later, because I didn't understand the baby part. Just because I'm a psychic medium doesn't mean I understand everything, okay? All right? I'm not a goddess. I'm not God, right? Okay. So Julie says to me, it's okay. We're starting over. And I knew with the telepathic part of that is that they were all getting ready to go into the amnesia room and return again in the same family. All right. So we do that. We do reincarnate in the same family. All right. My mother's mother died in 1985, and I was never aware of her. She may have come around a couple times years ago, as spirits do, when I would hear multiple voices, and that would usually be something of warning, okay, which I would listen to, and it was a good thing that I did. Okay, but my mother's mother, my maternal grandmother, she died in 1985, and she started coming around, about 2002, 2003, clear as day. And she would tell me before other people in the family were going to die. For instance, I had a career selling real estate, and I came home one day, and I sat down to change my clothes to go get my child from school, and boom, there pops my grandma in, right? And she says, my mother's brothers, and my mother only has 2 brothers. And so I named them, and she says, I named one, and she said no. And I named the other one, and she said yes. And his name was John. And so I say John, and she says yes. They are going to find him dead and alone in his apartment, just like he lived. That's exactly what was said to me. And I said, okay. And I just went on. That was like a Thursday. And then Sunday, my mother called me, and she said, my brother. And I said, John. And she said, yes. And I said, please tell me he was in a car wreck. And she said, no. And so anyway, they found him in his apartment. He died. So that was that. And then my grandmother had told me my grandfather had gone into the hospital years later. She told me he had pneumonia. He wasn't coming back out. I told my mother he has pneumonia. She said, he doesn't have pneumonia. And then like 3 or 4 days later, she called and said, he has pneumonia. And he ended up dying. And my paternal grandmother went into the hospital for a surgery. And my maternal grandmother told me she's not coming back out. And she didn't. The surgery didn't go well. So it was a choice of being tube fed or going to hospice. She chose to go to hospice. So when that paternal grandmother that chose to go to hospice and die, she started coming around. Now, at first I could feel her and slightly hear her. I could hear what she was wanting to say, just a little bit. And then it would be like 8 months later, boom, here she comes. Because it can take months before they pop in, all right? Because they have to let go of this world. They don't communicate too well at first. They have to let go of this world. The longer they're here, the longer the spirits hang on to this world, the less communication they're going to have. So, for instance, when mothers come to me because their child just died, I can get them in, most of them, boom, right away, even within weeks. That's a mother. She has the cord to that child. That's going to make a difference than anybody else coming to me when it's just been weeks. Okay, so they can communicate. They can come in. They can tell you a lot, boom, right off the bat. Okay, a couple months later, they will not be able to tell me as much because they're starting to let go of this world. Okay, and then when they fully let go, when they go through their review, and there's no time limit. It's different strokes for different folks. Your soul goes when your soul is ready. Okay, and that's why we have ghosts. Okay, that's why we have earthbound spirits. They don't move on. They're afraid or they don't know how. Okay, so your soul goes when it's ready. I have seen with my family, a lot of them, it's about 8 months. It can be 6 months, 8 months. But it was like 8 months with my mother, 8 months with my paternal grandmother. But anyway, my paternal grandmother, boom, 8 months later, here she pops in, and I can actually hear her voice. All right. And she's telling me things. Um, she's even in the car with me with my cousin, and my cousin told a little white lie. And my grandmother went, she's lying. Right, in her accent and everything. I heard the voice. And I actually went and checked up on my cousin, and yep, she was lying. All right. So that's cool. So if you're open, they will come through and they will talk to you. The vibration has to be right. The energy has to be right. The frequency has to be right. You have to let go. You have to let Goddess, God, Spirit, whatever it is, just let go and let it flow. Let's see here. Is there any, I don't know if there's nothing really more on a personal level that I want to go into other than the suicides. Okay. I do want to cover that because that does matter. Okay. Suicides. Okay. They don't move on so much. All right. Now, I had a cousin that she was adopted but kept in the family. And I told her real mother because she was getting ready to turn 16. And even before that, she started figuring things out and realizing that that was not her real mother. There was too much of an age difference, that it didn't work. So I was concerned. I was getting premonitions that she would kill herself. So I told her real mother, you better talk to her. She's going to kill herself. Because, you know, my other little cousins, and there's like a huge gap between, because I'm the oldest out of a lot of cousins. So there was a big age gap there. So my other little cousins were telling her that you're adopted, you're adopted. But no adults would talk to her about that. Okay. So she ended up killing herself. All right. And she got stuck. All right. And the pictures of her were falling over. Lights were blinking. And I move into this because I had a whole experience with this. All right. So years later, all right, I have 5-6 years later, I go to my first channeling psychic medium group, and it was just a small group that's a lady put on, and maybe 5 people, and I'm sitting there, and I'm feeling something pulling on my pants legs. I mean, I physically feel it. Tugging, tugging, right? And I know it's a child. It feels like a child. And I'm getting scared, all right? Because this is back in my early 30s when I'm afraid of this stuff, right? And I didn't even know what a medium was, all right? I knew I was psychic, and I had a lot of gushes, but I knew I didn't know how to control it, and I didn't know what a medium was. So I'm feeling somebody touching me, and I'm like, oh, my God. So I say something, and the instructor said, it's okay. And I see other people. I have to open my eyes, and I see other people looking to see if they can see anything. Then the back of my neck starts burning. Oh, my God. Like it's on fire. So bad. Okay? And so I tell the lady, my neck's killing me, the back of my neck. All right? And then I'm getting freaked out. Something's trying to like take me over or something, okay? Something was trying to get me to channel. All right? And, jump in my body or something. So I freak out. And I didn't freak out to disrupt the class, but I cut it off. All right, what was happening? I was like, we're not going into a channel right now. I can't deal with it. I can't handle it. I'm not ready for it. I go to the restroom. It was over. I go to the restroom. In the mirror, I'm not seeing anything behind me, but I'm knowing a spirit's with me. I know I just picked a spirit up. Okay, so I'm driving home, and I'm getting freaked out in my car because I'm feeling a spirit. And my hand comes up off the steering wheel, and it starts doing something like this. Or somebody's moving my hand. They're trying to get my attention. I'm going, oh, my God. And I'm wanting to pull over, and I'm going, oh, my God. Because, see, here's where I might sound a little nuts. I don't care. I'm predicting, I think, if it's going as planned, a spaceship is going to land. A starship is going to land. And I think it's landing in Cincinnati, Ohio. There's also something about St. Louis. Okay, but so anyway, I just had to say that. So I'm freaking out, driving down the road. I get home. It's like 11 o'clock at night. My husband would flip if I told him what happened. Mr. Christian, right? He would flip out. So I'm not going to tell him anything. I got a toddler in bed, and I'm going, oh my God, I got to talk to somebody about this. I'm freaking out. So who can I call? Who can I call? The only person I could think of that I would call who didn't have any little kids in bed, who wasn't going to get mad because I called them at 11 o'clock. I pick up the phone and I call her and I tell her what happens. And that's my mother's sister. And that's the mother of the child that killed herself. And I tell her what happens. And she says, do you know what today is? And it was June, right? The month of June. And I say, Grandma's birthday. And she says, no. And I say, Lisa's birthday. And she said, no. And she said, it's the day Lisa shot herself. Okay. So it was the anniversary of the day that my cousin shot herself. She shot herself in the mouth. My neck was burning. Okay. My neck was like on fire. All right. So the bullet probably went through. I don't know. I don't know the details. So, all right. So I'm knowing I got to get this kid to the light. She's stuck. All right. A famous psychic medium that I went to because a dead guy was following me a couple years prior to that, which I'll share that with you sometime, taught me how to make holy water and told me that to take them to the light. And that was an innate thing for me. She had told me that I had done that before. Another medium that has written a book, Deandra, had told me I had done that before, and I know that I have done that before, and that's why I do attract spirits. And that's a reason that I am a psychic medium, is because I have helped people cross over. Okay, so I had to help my cousin do that. I was really kind of freaked out, but I did it, and it worked. And that was the second time that I had done that. All right, and I'm grateful to have been able to do that. So thank you, Spirit, right? Okay, so suicides, they get stuck. And what has come to me with that is that because they take their own life, they don't go at their appointed time, the time that they agreed to go upon. Okay, so I think they're just kind of stuck, right? They're just kind of there, earthbound. It's, they can see what's going on. Nobody will answer them because nobody sees them except for a medium. So, and mediums can block them off, right? If you can't block stuff off, you're a schizophrenic, okay? That's called a schizophrenic. If you got open channels and you walk around hearing voices, you would be a schizophrenic, all right? Not a psychic medium. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to judge it, man, because there's a thin line between schizophrenic and psychic medium. Suicides that are mentally ill. There was a dude, his family was an acquaintance of mine because of the community and because I sold real estate. He came through. I was sick. I had like a cold, and I was slept in the room by myself because of that. And like 3 or 4 times throughout the night, they came waking me up. It was a dude that killed himself. He hung himself. And there was 2 guys with him. They looked very similar to him. He was in the middle. He did not speak at all. And they kept coming and waking me up. And I finally said, okay, I won't forget. I'll remember what you're saying. Okay? Because they kept coming and waking me up and saying, it's okay that he killed himself. It's okay that he killed himself. The voices were telling him to kill his family. So it's okay that he killed himself. And I was like, okay. And they were right in my face. And that's not the first time I've had that, where it's right in my face, waking me up. And they wanted me to tell his wife. And I was like, later, I was like, I'm not going to call her and tell her that. Are you kidding me? All right. So, and then there was a reading that I did one time it was a neighbor that was roaming around, and they were coming into the person's house, and she was a little bit mentally ill. The young lady that died. And she was like an OD that killed herself. So she was just kind of stuck, and there was nothing scary. And she wasn't unhappy. She was having a good time. So that's what happens when people kill themselves. Tragic deaths. It can take them a while to realize they're dead. It can take them a while to pull out of feel. It can play over and over in their mind for a moment, more than a moment. what happened, what just happened. Okay, different souls have different things that they go through. So people do need to understand that. Also, it takes a lot of energy for people to come through. They're not going to come through and repeat themselves over and over. So, say for instance, you come to any psychic and, immediately after somebody dies and they tell you some stuff, don't expect 2 weeks from then to go to that same psychic or another psychic or a month from them. Same deal, right? They're not going to keep coming through and telling you the same stuff. What's the point? All right. They're not going to, when a psychic starts telling you all this stuff and you're like, wow, and they're hitting it and it's not a guessing game and it's the real deal, don't look at them and say, what was their favorite song when I was a kid? Because you already know that. Okay. Do you think they're going to take the energy to come through and tell you that? Really? Man, okay, so I have actually had people come through and give me code names, code words, all right, that they agreed upon. And I only had one time where that didn't happen. And it was when the lady left that she said at the door when she was leaving, my mother and I had a code word and you didn't say it. And I said, did she? Well, maybe she couldn't say it. And this woman was so cold as ice. She had a wall up. It was already difficult enough. Her reading went well enough, okay? It was already difficult enough to pull through the other side when I had to sit there and climb over this, okay? She didn't say your code name. Oh, well, okay. Maybe if you acted like you trusted me, maybe if you acted like you liked me, maybe if you acted like you were a little bit happy in life, it might have went better, all right? Because energy matters. It's all about frequency and vibration. Okay, so I think that's about all of the examples of the other side and different scenarios that I will share today on this video. I have a lot of stories, though. I really, really do. And I need a drink of water after all that talking. Good, clean, fluoride-free water. And if you want to open up that third eye, get off the fluoride, people. It does make a difference because I found that out after I moved to where I live and had to get reverse osmosis on the sink. Okay? So anyway, I enjoyed sharing, and I wish you all pure unconditional love, pure radiant Christ light, and live life in joy. And until next time, peace out.